Hello and welcome to my first Popcorn Corner, which I'm super excited about, by the way. My name is Dan Draper and I'm going to be reviewing the biggest films, the hottest trailers, the most exciting movie news and a little bit of what's on telly at the minute, and hopefully speaking to some incredible actors. Okay, so to kick things off, I thought that now the dust had settled, that we'd look into one of the most opinion-dividing films of the year, Joker, Folie A Deux.
That's what we should be talking about.
So I'm going to give you my honest review, and spoilers ahead, you've been warned. If you haven't seen it yet, come back later on. Now, I loved the first Joker film. It was a masterpiece. Chef's kiss good. And Joaquin Phoenix shone in his role as Arthur Fleck, who we saw descend into madness after some terrible things happened to him. And we kind of see that a little bit through this film, sort of. Okay, so rough synopsis of the film. Arthur starts off in Arkham Asylum straight after the events of the first Joker film, and he's preparing to go on trial against the state for the deaths of the 5 people that he killed in the previous film. He then meets his lawyer and swings past the singing class, which, you guessed it, intro Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, where this film turns into a little bit of a musical. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you've got someone like Lady Gaga at your disposal, you know, one of the voices that define the 2010s, but did it need to be? Anyway, we'll come back to that. Arthur then meets his lawyer, has a quick interview with Steve Coogan, which, to be honest with you, was completely unnecessary. And we got a small glimpse of the Joker before he was then taken back to his cell. Now, there's 2 parts to this film. The musical part where Arthur fantasizes about his life with Harley Quinn and everything else that's going on at the moment in some sort of talk show-esque kind of way. And then there's the high court recap of the first film, which fell a bit flat, to be honest with you, and went on way too long. And there was so many details about the first film, you basically didn't need to watch it. It was just a full recap. It's like, come on, we already know this. We know what's going on. Arthur bumps into Harley again and they develop some sort of love for each other. And because Harley's such a big fan of the Joker, in her mind, she's got a dream man. And after the attempts of breaking out and plotting what they do once Arthur's free, she fully supports him in the courtroom in full Harley Quinn attire, which I must admit looks actually pretty cool. The high court drama then carries on, and they're trying to prove that Joker and Arthur are the same person, while the defense are saying that it's a split personality disorder. Now, honestly, this section for me was just a bit bloated and a bit meh. The only good thing that came out of this was Arthur in full Joker costume and makeup, representing himself after he sacked his lawyers, and literally making no sense, bamboozling the entire court in some sort of weird southern accent. Anyway, Arthur's pleading his case to say that he's not like that anymore and that the Joker is gone, which breaks Harley's heart, and you can see that she storms out of the courtroom. And a couple of minutes later, a huge explosion comes from the side of the courtroom, throwing Arthur across the room and decimating the building, killing half the courtroom. Arthur picks himself up and slowly crawls towards the now exposed wall to freedom past Harvey Dent, who we see's Two-Face face markings from the devastation of the explosion, which I'm sure made a lot of fans go, whoop, whoop. He's then freed and then picked up by one of his cult followers and driven away. Arthur then escapes and meets Harley at that legendary staircase where they said they'd meet in the future. And Harley's got a new haircut and fully embraces the Harley Quinn persona, but she tells Arthur she's not interested in him anymore and leaves him heartbroken as you see the police close in on him and take him back to Arkham. Now, back at the common room in Arkham, he's called out by one of the guards to say that he's got a visitor. So he gets up and follows him out, but there's quite a distance between him and the guard, which seems pretty ominous if you ask me. And then the final scene plays out, and one of the other inmates follows him and questions him why he's not the Joker anymore. Arthur then tries to explain this to him, but he's then stabbed multiple times by this inmate and left to die, whilst in the background you can see the inmate starting to hysterically laugh and cut the sides of his mouth, which we've seen before. And it obviously made me draw the obvious conclusion of the Joker being a mantle, not just a person, just something you can take on. And also, obviously my first thought was, is that Heath Ledger's Joker? I mean, I doubt it, but there's always going to be a new Joker in town, isn't there? Now, I'll be completely honest, there wasn't enough Joker in this film for me, and that's what I came to see. It's kind of like Todd Phillips wanted to leave the masterpiece of the first film where it was, and the studio were like, nah, we're going to make another one because it was the highest grossing R-rated movie at the time, and he was just kind of going along with it. The court scenes went on way too long, the musical scenes added a bit of perspective on how Arthur was seeing the world and him and Harley, but more importantly, the imagination of someone with a mental disorder. So that part for me was really interesting to see, and both performances from Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga were actually really good. And we got to see the physical transformation of Joaquin Phoenix that he brought to that role, and you could genuinely hear audible gasps from the audience, so that man is dedicated to his craft. But it did just go on way too long and didn't have enough substance. I was kind of like, oh, alright then. And I've also just heard that it's crashed out of the top spot this week, dropping 80% of its box office revenue from 40 million last week to 7 million this week. Whew. Now I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 because mostly it's based on Joaquin Phoenix's genius of playing the role of Joker. Let me know what you think of this though. Let me know in the comment section what you think of it. I'm going to wash this bad taste out of my mouth. See you next time.